Back again on the big red lowrider, hot rod, whatever you want to call it, cruiser build. So what I'm trying to do, I've reused some Tamiya TAO2 old plastic front suspension parts that I had, and I've used RC four-wheel drive rod ends and drilled out holes here, mounted them to the frame. So now I have my front suspension mounted, but I'm not getting enough lift, and the location where my upper link needs to mount here is hitting on the frame. And I've used a little bit of I've tried everything I can with the brackets and with the rod ends to get it out further away from the chassis. So now I'm going to resort to trying to make my own upper links, and we're going to do that here in a minute. First, let me catch you up here with what I've got. Alright, so here you can kind of see the gist of it. I don't have any bolts on anything. Nothing's tight right now because I keep having to pull it off and on. So I've mounted my rod ends on the bottom. I've drilled all the way through both sides of the chassis rail, and I've drilled the top out bigger so I can get a nut in there, and I've bolted it through the rod end through the bottom hole, and the nuts on the inside. And I've done that on all 4 mounts for the lower control arms, and that's the same thing I did on the top at first. You can see I've got another extra hole here. I had it on the back side of this, and it was way too high. I was getting absolutely no suspension travel. The angles were all wrong. The front control arms were like really spread out, and it wasn't working right. So I needed to lower the upper mount down, so I flopped to the front side of my mount. Oops, sorry. And I've drilled a hole in the bottom all the way through, and then I drilled out the top bigger. So I'm using an offset rod end, the ones that kind of go off to one side, and it's setting down flush against the bottom rail of the inside the frame rail, and the offset part sticks up just perfectly right on top of the upper half of the upper side of the square tubing, we'll call it. So that has given me a little bit more lift, but I'm only getting maybe a little more, maybe 5/8, not even half an inch barely of lift out of it. So the hang up here is the upper control arm, the plastic piece here from Tamiya, is hitting the rail. So I'm going to try to make some out of aluminum and make them at a funky angle so they clear everything I need them to clear. Hopefully. I've already started cutting, and we'll pick you up there. Alright, so after too much work trying to machine these from hand, I've got these little kidney bean looking things here. Not going to win any beauty pageants with them. They're kind of rough, but I'm going to go ahead and test fit them, and we'll see how they fit, if they work at all. Alright guys, they actually tightened up everything a little bit. My tires aren't tight, so I don't mind that, but the rest of the suspension isn't as rattly like Tamiya plastic ones are known to be. Still have way too much up travel. It's just a first in a phase of corrections, but I gained about, let's see if we actually put pressure on it here. I gained another 1/4 inch of travel out of it. I'm not really sure how to make it better with what's on there, but that I don't know. We'll have to get the body on once we get the rear end set up and see if that's actually going to be enough. Not sure where to go next. I have the rear end mocked up. I may go ahead and hang that 4-link out back, and we'll see what we can do with that. Alright guys, got the 4-link mounted. I still got to go through and make sure everything's square, and it looks like it's off a little bit, so I'm not sure yet where that's coming from. If holes aren't quite right, or 4 links are off a little bit. So got to do some fine tuning, but you can see the function of it. Pinion angle stays somewhat decent. I doubt it'll lift that high. It'd be lucky if I can get the same amount I get out of the front, which would be right about there, so that keeps the pinion angle decent. So now I'm going to mess around and try to see why it's off a little bit. Alright guys, I had to do a little bit of clearancing on the back corners of the interior so the 4-link rods didn't hit. Yeah, lays flat, sticks off, the body's off the ground just a little bit because of the frame. I've got one thing in the front that I'm not sure about. I really did my step too high in the front now, looking back. That's why when I pull the body out, I have even more travel up than I do down. So another problem is where my transmission, the yoke comes out, is a little high. I'm going to have to run a multiple piece drive line anyway. If it was up a little bit higher, I could probably cut it back to 2-piece, but I just don't know right now. That's a lot of work trying to get that straight if I were to cut the Z off and shorten it. And I don't really need any more lift in the front. I think it's got plenty. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do just yet with that. But what else was there? Yeah, that was my option there, was to cut and weld that. I don't know. Like I said, it's going to be a lot of work to get it all straight again. The whole thing, I could do all of this 10 times better, but not without having done it wrong the first time. And after you've done something once, you don't really want to go back and do it again. So, I don't know. We'll just see where this build goes. It's not my priority right now. My priority is the rat rod. So, excuse me. Yep, I'm going to flip back over and we can see what it looks like. Alright, so you can see the front, the width is perfect. I've got room to turn in there, and it's about all the lift we're going to get out of the front. Back is very, very deep. I need ½ inch of wheel spacing just to get those wheels up front, up to the surface. Let me take a look here and see what I've got. I still haven't decided what wheels and tires I'm going to use yet. I mean, with that narrow of an axle, I could throw a larger, deeper, bigger wheel in there and then have a narrower version up front. I've been looking at some options for that. Something a little more blingy, perhaps, but it's a new area for me. I haven't dealt with that size, any 1.9 or 2.2s, buggy tire, things like that. I don't know anything about, so I've got to do some experimenting on that. But I'm going to try one more thing real quick. I had to see if it's 3-wheel. It's completely fake and jacked up with jack stands, but yeah, the thing's massive. I don't think it'll ever be able to pull a 3-wheel even if I put real hydraulics on it. It's just too heavy. But anyways, I'm going to wrap this one up. Made a little bit of progress, so hopefully we can keep moving forward on it. But anyways, thank y'all for watching, and be sure to follow along on Instagram, and I'll see y'all in the next video.